Hey everyone, did you know that right here in Mulberry, we have one of the top 3 food pantries in Gwinnett County as far as the amount of food served? And today we have Steve Ring, who's the director of the pantry, who's going to talk about this incredible thing that we have right here in our city. So stay tuned. All right, everybody. As I mentioned, we have the Reverend Steve Ring with us. He is the executive director of the pantry at Hamilton Mill, and he is here to tell us all about the great work that they do at the pantry. So first off, Mr. Ring, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
If you could just introduce yourself, where are you from? Talk a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Steve Ring. I am the executive director of the pantry at Hamilton Mill and a pastor, like Michael mentioned. And so I wouldn't feel right if I didn't say thank you for having me here and for the commissioners and all that you guys are doing to help grow the city of Mulberry into what we want it to be one day. So the pantry is a wonderful place, and I was drawn to it basically because of my previous experience. I was a business owner in Mulberry, moved here with my family from Florida due to my job at the time, worked in the insurance industry for several years, and then got a call into ministry. And so I became a pastor, served in 3 different churches, and was led to basically move on from the pulpit, so to speak, into doing work where I could really make an impact with the community. And so I started as the executive director of the pantry.
Okay, great. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about the history of the pantry? I know maybe you may not have been there for the entire history, but how did the pantry get started? How did this need come to be noticed in our community?
Sure, absolutely. And so the genesis of it started at Hamilton Mill United Methodist Church. There's a gentleman who went to church there and said, you know what, food scarcity is a serious problem in our community. And so he said, we need to do something about it. And so he started the pantry with very, very, humble beginnings. We were serving about 20 to 25 families every single month. That quickly grew to 20 to 25 every single week. And then you got continued growth. COVID, of course, just changed the world. We saw an explosion. And Michael, this past weekend, we served 845 families on Saturday.
Wow, that's incredible. And I think it's so cool that obviously all this happens right here in the city of Mulberry, that we serve, people from all over the area, from other communities, other counties, they come into Mulberry. Let's talk a little bit. So you said the pantry started at Hamilton Mill United Methodist Church. Talk a little bit about how maybe the pantry's changed over the years. Is it maybe, I understand it's its own 501c3 now, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about that, maybe the process of kind of the day-to-day operations for the pantry?
Sure, absolutely. And so what began as a church ministry grew to a point where really it became more than just one church could really manage. And so back in 2023, it actually separated and formed its own separate 501c3 nonprofit to be able to serve not only the city of Mulberry, but also surrounding communities and other counties, just like you mentioned. So at that point in time, we have our own board, we have our own finances, and it's truly an ecumenical ministry. So it's not just Hamilton Mill United Methodist Church anymore. We have I would say a group of probably 10 to 12 different churches, and we serve everybody from different faith backgrounds. And so it's beautiful to see the community come together.
And obviously, I volunteer at the pantry sometimes, and I do see that. I notice people of all different faiths, all different church denominations coming and being served there. Can you talk a little bit about maybe how the pantry's run? I mean, I know that you're the executive director. How many employees does the pantry have? What role do volunteers, for example, play in the organization?
Sure, absolutely. And so back in 2023, I became the first employee of the pantry. And so I became the executive director. And then I was very fortunate to have our board feel that we needed to have an operations manager. So we were able to bring on an operations manager. Justin King is his name. Wonderful and what he's been able to bring. And so there's 2 employees, and really we survive based on the strength of our volunteers. So thank you for your participation. And so if anyone out there would like to come and volunteer and make a difference here in Mulberry, please let us know.
Can you maybe talk, maybe give us maybe 1 or 2 stories of people in the community that maybe the pantry's been able to help or to touch, or maybe things where you've seen, this community, these volunteers kind of rise up together and serve. Can you just maybe humanize it a little bit? Tell us a couple things that you've seen personally as the executive director.
Sure, absolutely. I always like to say, everybody has their own pantry story. And so I encourage people to come and participate so they can create their own pantry story. two that specifically stand out for me. One day I was loading some groceries in the back of a car on Saturday during our distribution time. And I open up the back hatch of this SUV, and the young lady had her mattress and her pillow and her covers there. And so I knew that she was living out of her car, and I wanted to find out some more information. So I had a conversation with her, and she was actually running from a domestic abuse situation. And so she couldn't stay with friends because she could get tracked down. So unfortunately, she was staying in her car, and we were a resource for her to be able to provide that food. And so that's kind of, one of those scarier situations of people we help, but everyone's story is different. And so sometimes someone has lost a job and they just need some help while they're looking for a job. And so if we could help them with their grocery bill so they can continue to pay for their car, continue to pay for their light bills, because they still have those other needs. And so if they have that car, they can go get a new job. And it's part of breaking those cycles of poverty. And Michael, our volunteers are so wonderful. We have people who will come and pick up for other people. And so one gentleman comes and picks up for 7 people in his community. Many of them are homebound and they're elderly. And without him coming to get that food, I would hate to think what their story would be.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that is one of the first times I ever volunteered. I, as you know, I'm married. I have 3 children, right? And my wife at the time, she drove the typical mom vehicle, the minivan,
Sure.
right? And so I remember I was volunteering, and I think it was my job that week to put the bags of food, just like you mentioned, in the back of the vehicles. And I'll never forget this woman pulled up with her kids in the back, and it was the exact same vehicle that my wife drove.
Mm,
And it was the same type of situation. She had mentioned to me or to one of the other volunteers that her husband had just lost his job, that they didn't know, how they were going to make their mortgage payment that month, how they were going to make the grocery bill work.
sure.
And she was so thankful for this organization and what they do and what they stood for. And ever since that moment, I just, it was like looking in a mirror, right? It was like, that could have been me. That could have been my wife. It could have been my children. And so the pantry really is a special, special place for what they do. And that stuck with me for a long time and kept me coming back and wanting to volunteer and want to be a part of it, because you just never know. You never know someone's story. You never know what they've been through. And that was something that really stood out to me. Where, if you could, just from an operations standpoint, talk about, like, where does the pantry get all this food? I mean, you said you served 800 families on average on any given Saturday. Like, that's a lot of food. That's a lot of groceries. Where does that come from? How does that happen?
Sure. First thing I would like to say is thank you to the Atlanta Community Food Bank and the partnerships that they allow us to have. And so there's a couple of public stores that donate to us, as well as Kroger and Aldi that we go and pick up from. It's called the retail program through them. And that allows us to supplement the food that we buy. Now, the majority of it is going to come from those options. But also, again, our volunteers really step up. And so not only our home church that we're attached to, but other churches will do food drives. We also have members in the community, businesses that'll do food drives. And then coming up here is high school football season. And so one of the things I'm really proud of is the involvement of our high school kids and our youth. And so they actually do a thing called Friday Night Food Fight. And so it basically started at Mill Creek High School, and this is the 11th year. And during that time, we've been able to accumulate about 750,000 pounds of food. And so it's amazing what those kids can do. And I love it. And so it's a lot of work, a lot of lifting. So if anyone wants to come help, let me know. But we're looking forward to this time of year.
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about the food fights. Obviously, as the mayor of the city, this is something that I've it's a point of pride for me, right? I know that Mill Creek's done them. I think Seconders does them as well, correct?
That's correct.
And so those are our 2 big high schools in Mulberry, right? And I know that it's for those that don't know at home what it is. Can you talk about kind of what is a food fight? How does it run? What kind of motivates these kids to bring in so much food?
Sure. Well, it's way less messy than it sounds. It's not your traditional food fight you think. So basically, when it started, one of the students was a big volunteer at the pantry. And at the time, even with the minimum number of people we were serving, we still noticed that we were running low on certain food items. And so the idea was, when Mill Creek was playing Tequila, 2 weeks leading up to that game, the schools would compete to see who could basically collect the most food donations. And so it's done a very high-level, complicated mathematical equation of the number of students, the number of pounds, but they get a ratio and they get a final number, and basically based on the number of pounds per student, that declares a winner. And so, like I said, we're very fortunate. But from this, I would say meager beginnings of just 2 high schools, food fights now exist all throughout Gwinnett County, and it started right here, a little high school called Mill Creek in Mulberry.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. And so there you have it. So again, the kids at Mill Creek started this food fight, and now this serves other food pantries as well, not
Yes, it
just
does.
ours,
Yep.
correct? So basically, you have now multiple schools that have their biggest rival, their biggest football rival, where the week or two leading up to that game, they have this event where they try to, bring in more canned goods, more items than their big rival, right? And it's this big, they get a trophy, they hoist a trophy if they bring in the most. And it's become this point of pride, not only of like, hey, we're going to beat our rival in
Right,
football in
right.
this competition, but also we're helping our community. And so again, right here in Mulberry, the food fight, which started to help the pantry at Hamilton Mill, is now benefiting people all across the county, which is truly spectacular. And it's all because of these kids and their desire to want to help and to feed others. And I think that is so cool. Very
Yeah,
neat.
we have such wonderful partnerships with those schools and with the principals and also the teachers who run it, because the teachers take their time to do this. I mean, they have enough going on, right? But they take their time, and it's so appreciative. And it's not only just the high school, but it's the entire cluster. So it's the middle school and elementary schools also. And yeah, you're right. The rivalry plays into it, right? And
Mm.
so I may not be playing on Friday night, but I'm not going to let my rival beat me in the food fight.
I know, and I think what a cool thing. And again, it's really cool to see these high school kids and how into it they get. Not only again wanting to beat their rival, but wanting to help their own community. I think that's truly something special. So you said you get a lot of donations from the food fights. Do we know the food fights when they're going to be this year yet? Do we know the games? Have
Yep.
those been announced?
And so the Mill Creek is actually competing against Brookwood, and that game is August the 28th.
Okay.
And then later in the month of October, Seconder is actually fighting against Collins Hill, which is fantastic because my wife teaches over at Collins Hill. So Jennifer, you got some work to do.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so if you're listening out there, real important, if you have kids in high school, even if you don't have kids in high school,
Right.
help support these kids. Bring some canned goods, bring some pastas, bring some whatever items are on that list, and,
Right.
and help us out. So you said you get some from that. You get some obviously from some Publix donations and other locations. Let's talk about volunteers. Where do you find your volunteers? Because I imagine, I mean, if you're feeding 800 people every single Saturday morning, I mean, that's got to take a village. And so where are these people coming from? Do you ever have groups or high school teams or anything come volunteer? Talk a little bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. And like I said, we truly rely on those volunteers, Michael. And so for us, it's very critical that not only are the schools involved, because a lot of them, various club hours and things like that they want
Sure.
to do, but also we have such a loving community, here in our area. And so a lot of these people want to make a difference. And so we have people who are retired, and so they come in. We have people who come in on their day offs, and we do have some of those corporate groups come in as well. So Lowe's actually had their HR convention here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so when they did, they were able to come up and volunteer. And so they found us online. And so if you ever have something, either your small group, your life group, your HOA, someone like that who wants to come out and make a difference and an impact in the community, definitely check us out. You can go to www.tphm.org/volunteer.
That's awesome. And I, as somebody who does volunteer, I definitely encourage it. I mean, I will say that I get as much out of it, I think, as sometimes as the people I serve, right? That it just makes you feel proud to be part of this community. And like you said, it's people of all different faiths, all different backgrounds, just serving people who are having tough times, right? That could be any of us. If I'm somebody who wants to volunteer, what is there certain days or opportunities that are available? I mean, obviously I would think Saturday, right, is the big distribution every Saturday morning. But is there other days, like maybe I can't make it, I've got my kids' baseball games or something on a Saturday. Is there other days where me and some friends or my group can come volunteer?
Yeah, absolutely. And so our traditional or typical volunteer days are going to be Wednesday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 and then 11 to 1. And so we break it up into our shifts because we have so many people who want to volunteer that we don't want them stepping over each other either. And so we try to divide that up. Then Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m., we have that as an opportunity. And then, of course, on Saturday, if we get contacted by a group, then we work with them to find out the best date and time that's available for them. And then myself or Justin or another one of our volunteer leads will actually open up the pantry to have them come in. And so with Thanksgiving coming up, it's a perfect opportunity to come out because for Thanksgiving, we're going to plan to serve about 1,400 to 1,500 people this year.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, no, and I've been part of those Thanksgiving distributions too, and I mean they are spectacular. And I believe you give out turkeys. Is that right?
We do, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. I've lifted a few of those turkeys before. But yeah, no, and so okay, so we have people. If they know if they want to get involved. What if you're somebody and you're watching this and you say, hey, I might need to be on the distribution list. Sure. Is there certain requirements they have to meet? Are there certain things that they need to know about? Can you talk a little about if I'm somebody that's in need, maybe I'm going through a hard time, I want to look at this. Can you explain a little more about that process?
Sure, absolutely. We have a very, I like to joke and say we have a very extensive interview process. And really, Michael, it's one question. Do you need help? And if someone needs help, then we will work with them to provide that help. Obviously, there's certain things that we need to do to vet them in terms of just verifying that, that they do have an active driver's license, they can come get the food and all those things. We don't deliver food, and so it helps if they can come get it. And that's really the only requirement is that you need help and that you can come and get the food.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And I've been very blessed. I was asked to join the board of the pantry, have a board seat. So I serve on the board of directors, and it's been a great experience. And I know that one of the things the pantry is working on is building a new building. Yes. Because they are still operating out of what is it, 1 or 2 old trailers that have been on that site for a long time. Yeah. And so can you talk a little bit about that? We'll give maybe a status update of, obviously you're serving this many people out of 2 tiny little trailers. Can you talk about that need for a building, maybe the process, what people can expect moving forward?
Sure, absolutely. And so you're absolutely right. We do need more space. And part of it just has to do with, we want to open up the community for more volunteers. We want to open up for more wraparound services to help break those cycles of poverty and do things to help. And so this is a little modular building that we're currently in. It's not a warehouse, and we have put it through its paces. And there's some concern it has a limited lifespan. And so what we've been able to do here recently is really put together a lot of effort to do a capital campaign to get as close as we've ever been to actually building our own building there on site. And so we've raised a good chunk of initial capital here that's unlocked some other opportunities for us. And you hear it here first. We're going to be breaking ground here dangerously soon. So please drive by, take a look at the equipment that's pushing dirt around.
All right, that's exciting. As we kind of near the end and we kind of start to wrap up, if I'm somebody in the community, I see this and I'm like, they are doing phenomenal work over at the pantry. I want to be involved. I want to either that help financially, or I want to volunteer, or I want to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to do that?
Sure, absolutely. And so what I would say, I'll give you my personal cell phone there. It's from the pantry. It's 470-202-8455. Give me a call if you would like to get involved, either volunteering, if you would like to donate, or if you need food, we'll be more than happy to do that.
All right. Well, Steve, it's been a pleasure, and I want to tell you thank you for everything that you do. I know that you're a big part of this community. You're a pillar of this community, and the people you serve, like I said, not just here in Mulberry, you don't just serve our residents, but you invite residents from Lawrenceville, from Winder, from Flowery Branch, from all around us, from Auburn, to come into our city and have this experience of, hey, the people in Mulberry are so giving and so caring that we are going to go into Mulberry, we're going to receive this food and ultimately feed our family. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for what the pantry does. And the pantry is one of the things I tell people all the time. I say it's definitely one of the crown jewels of the city. One of the things that as the mayor I'm most proud of. And so thank you for what you do. Thank you for your commitment to it. And thank you for what you do for our city. So thank you very much.
Well, we definitely appreciate the support. We feel it. We know that the city of Mulberry appreciates what we're doing, and we're happy to help all those other communities. And as a way of saying thank you for all the support that the city provides, and then you for coming out and volunteering, I wanted to give you this. That way, when you came out, you felt comfortable and safe with us here when you come and volunteer.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is an inside joke, but look at that. That is a beautiful shirt right there. So my thing is I'm a lawyer, it's my day job. And so I said, if I'm working in the parking lot, I want a high visibility t-shirt. So look, Thank you, Steve.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're welcome. All right.
That's perfect. Thank you. Well, everybody out there, again, you heard all about the pantry. If you want to get involved, reach out to Steve. Visit the website, tphm.org, to learn more about this phenomenal organization and the great work they're doing. And Steve, thanks again for being here. And I look forward to many more years of the pantry successfully serving people in our community. So thank you.
Absolutely, Michael. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
And if you guys like getting these updates, like learning more about really neat things in the city of Mulberry, definitely like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for watching.